In the last video, we used this program to generate random numbers, and I just noticed this is misspelled. That is making me nuts. I gotta get that fixed. Random numbers, and we need to fix this. Quick fix, rename the file. Okay, now all life is good. Okay, we use this program to generate this particular data file. Okay, when the print writer creates a file, it creates everything based on the project. So it puts everything inside the project itself. So in the project, there's a datafile.txt. The idea being that this simulates some sort of data collection machine. Now we want to read that file. And so let's close everything out that we don't need. We're going to take a look at this motivation program for B. And we'll start from, I guess, the main method. Notice, let's make this a little bigger. Notice that there's this throws file not found exception. You're going to see that a lot when you're dealing with file handling. Right? And when you do quick fix, you're going to need to add those throws clauses in there. It adds nothing to the logic of the program other than just to get it to compile. Maybe in another semester, if you continue with your Java courses, you'll learn about why that's necessary and how to handle it properly. But for now, just to get this thing compiled, we have this. So we open up a scanner. We need a scanner. We're going to initialize the array somehow. Okay, this is pretty much the same main method that we had before. The only difference is this init main, this init array. This init array is going to be reading numbers from the file. Now, why is it taking input? Well, take a look at the code. Let's take a look at the code. What's happening? It's taking input from a scanner because we're going to ask the person, what is the file name you would like to read? Okay, so from that open scanner, we prompt the person. We ask for a line that's going to represent the file name. We're going to go ahead and create a file object out of that file name. So now we made this program a little bit more flexible. Certainly we're going to type in datafile.txt, but you can call it input1.txt, input2.txt. You have the ability to change which file is being read by the program through this technique. Now the way you're going to read a file, you have that capability. You've always had that capability because you know how to read from the keyboard. When we created files, what did we do? We said new scanner system.in, right? Not anymore. Now that you have a connection to a particular file, this scanner can be connected to that file, and you could use the same methods that you're masters of already. Next int, the next line, next double, all of that. So this new scanner is going to be called file input, not input. It's file input because you're reading from the input. First thing I'm going to do is read that one integer from the beginning of the file. That controls what I'm going to do, how many numbers I'm going to read from then on. I can create an array of doubles of that size. See, I typed, in that file I can go ahead and say it's 999 or 1,000. This is 1,000. Create an array of 1,000. That's what I have, an array of 1,000. And by the way, when you create an array, what you've created is an array of 1,000 zeros, because by default, all the objects that are created with the new operator get zeroed out. So you've got 1,000 zeros, which is not what I want. What I want is to go through with a for loop from I equals 0, I is less than the length of the array we just created, which is 1,000, I plus plus. From the file input, read a double. And it's just going to read 1,000 numbers and put those inside an array inside this array. X of I, X of 1, X of 2, X of 3, etc. They're going to close that file, return that array. Now this is substantially more complicated than what we would look before, but it's a lot more flexible. I can read different file names. I can go ahead and, if I wanted to, let's minimize this. I can take this data file. I can modify this to be, say, the last two data points weren't any good. I can say 998, and I can strip off the last two. Okay, so that should be 998 elements. What did I just do there? Something happened. Something happened. Edit, undo, edit, undo, edit, undo. Oh, I know what I did. Let's take off the last two elements. I did something right there. Okay, take off the last two elements, and I'm going to call this 998. Okay, save that. And see, I just modified the file, but I don't ever have to recompile the original program, the program that reads it. So let's go ahead and see what happens. Let's run this. Now the rest of the program is pretty much the same. Calculating the average, that's the same. Calculating the report on larger than the average, let's run it. Okay, enter the file name, data file.txt, and there it is. There it is. It looks like it's outputting right. The average has got to be about 50, right? From 0 to 150. And I don't see any number that's less than 50 in my output here, so it is outputting those numbers correctly. Okay, so keep this in your tool belt. This piece of code right over here, you might need that for a homework assignment, whatever. And you have all this code available to you in a link that I provide in the Blackboard. Okay, we'll see you in the next video.